The
Business
Oddcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Oddcast. I'm your host Stuart Morrison and my fantastic co-host is
Hannah Logan. Welcome.
Welcome indeed. And what is
It's topic of the
the
week.
topic of the week?
Well, it's a good one, Stuart, but they're all good, right? But this week we're doing business plans that don't suck. Because quite frankly, we're allergic to boring, aren't we?
Yes. Boring. Just go and look at the video and see what I'm wearing. So traditional business plans are famously created by people who can sit still for more than 2 minutes. We're going to be looking at how our neurodivergent brains can be kept interested in a business plan and creating something that doesn't suck. Because quite frankly, when people start talking about projected margins and forecasts, my brain starts to wander off and wants to go and potter in the garden.
Slip into a little coma, yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing like somebody putting a cash flow projection on a slide to
yawn.
make. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be looking today at, how do we keep it interesting, especially given what we were discussing about last week and the week before regarding business plans and business planning. So we're going to deep dive into that a bit more. And how do you keep your brain from switching off when it's got to do the adult and important stuff? So let's start with a spoiler, I think. The spoiler is a plan is only useful if it stays alive. So it's a living document. Dead plans belong in museums. So, Hannah.
Right, so why do boring business plans die immediately? Well, for my brain and many of our listeners' brains, if a business plan doesn't stimulate our brain, then it becomes invisible because the boredom shuts down the whole system before you've even begun. So you need that initial stimulation and interest, otherwise it's just a big nope. And when that happens, when that big nope happens, then our ND brains disengage from the uninteresting structure because boring is the same as kind of abandoned, really. So business plans for us, or certainly for me, need colour, they need creativity, and they need, if this doesn't sound weird, they need a texture to survive. I need to be able to imagine that business plan as a kind of thing rather than a kind of spreadsheet that's going to immediately turn my brain off.
I think for me, anything which requires a degree to interpret, I need to be able to look at it and understand it. One of the things I've realised over the years, I'm not good with compartmentalised tasks. What do I mean by that? I'm not good when somebody hands me this tiny little thing. Because there are so many questions. There's so many questions around. Can you do this? Well, yes, I can, but I need to know these answers. And what people take that for is complexity, when actually it's clarity.
Yeah.
So we were discussing this offline. We're talking about overthinking. I think there's a difference between overthinking and over-explaining. I actually think quite a lot of business people underthink. They don't have the level of thinking or clarity or detail that is required, which is why, to a certain extent, most leaders tend to be visionary. They're kind of like, we need to go in that direction, and then they need a person or a team to translate that into, we go from A to B using this plan. And I've read many business books over the years, and it always seems to think that you are going to be the person with all of the skills. What it doesn't seem to do is say, you're going to do these bits, these are going to be your bits that you do really, really well, but all of these bits over here that you're really going to really need, get somebody else in, like FD. I am not FD material. I can look at a balance sheet, I can go through a process, but ultimately I've always had somebody that I can refer to and say, how do we defray this and ameliorize that and all of those kind of things. So I think for me, boring translates as not one of my special interests.
Yes. Yeah, I get that.
I don't mind learning new things, and I don't mind having an overview of those things. Like I say, the compartmentalisation doesn't work for me unless I know how that fits in the overall grand scheme of things, because then that answers for me lots of questions that are imponderables until you're starting to work through them. And at that point, you can go, oh, hang on a minute, where do I fit in? What is the overall goal? What is the purpose of what I... And if you then need to be creative, it gives you a guiding light. So I like to think of the business plan as my guiding light. Yeah,
I get that. That kind of macro, I need to see all of it to then be able to imagine it and get involved in it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the ways I stay... I feel like I'm working on a living document is to just have a very simple business plan, like we discussed last week. And I think for me, that gives me the clarity that I know that I'm moving in generally the right direction without tying me down. But you see, I think it's always different when it's just like a one-man business. It's always a bit, you have to sort of react to the game that's in front of you.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean to say you can't have an overall game plan that, this is for now, but this is what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, I think for me it's that balance, isn't it, of knowing, you're not just going in blindly just like whatever happens, because you need, or certainly I do for the dopamine and stuff, I need to know, well, that's the goal, that's the direction I'm heading in. But actually, like we said in our previous podcast, it's having that adaptability. A lot of us need to be able not to feel like we're set in concrete, because then it gets boring or it gets intimidating.
I think one of the other major points is when you've got a plan and it specifically states what you're going to achieve and by when, what that doesn't take into account, of course, is the fluctuating energy levels.
Yeah.
This week I've been rather unwell with a cold, and it's just flattened me. It's like you've opened a bottle of pop and it's got no fizz. It might taste right, but it's not the right experience. Do you know what I mean? I can get through
just
the day,
like
but I've got no fizz, and that's kind of what it is. It's like just I'm there, but
not in your full glory. You're just kind of you're in the background,
holding on with fingertips. But I think that it's hard to have a business plan which states you will do these things by these dates when, I've had sometimes months where I've been flattened with low energy, low mood, various things, life, just insert life event, and they would, slap most people down. But when your dopamine levels are just completely depleted, it's almost impossible to engage with the work, let alone work through the work. So having a plan that you can pick up and put down and isn't, to a certain extent, time bound. But Stuart, customer deadlines, that notwithstanding, that's why you need to reserve your energy. Because if you've got to hit some deadlines and also work on your business, well, it can be impossible. How do you manage the fluctuating energy?
So what you've just described, I kind of think of it as kind of survival mode, or, when your car gets a light and it's like it goes into limping mode. Sometimes I'm in limping mode. and then, and like you said, you need to still have a capacity, a little box of energy somewhere, because as a business person, we do need to be reliable. And if somebody suddenly comes in at the final moment and says, oh my goodness, my website's down, or whatever it is we're doing for them, we need to be able to dig deep and get that little that reserve. So for me, I do need to really manage my energy as much as I can. And like you said, you've had a tough week on the energy and being ill and stuff. When that happens to me, I do, if I'm not careful, I do get into a slight panic state, because I think, my brain's listing like a little roller thing, like tick, tick, tick. These are all the things you're behind on now, Hannah, because you're ill, or,
Yeah.
So the way that I manage that, and you've helped me actually, is not to get caught up in that and start panicking, like, seeing all the deadlines I'm missing, but actually just been chilling out about it really, and just realising, because I've managed to allow quite a lot of time to hit my deadlines. So if I have a week where I'm taken out of the equation and I'm in limping mode, then it's okay, because I don't work to very tight deadlines, because I've learnt the way that I work best. So does that make sense? I've given myself enough of a lead time,
yeah.
and it allows, like you've taught me, buffer days and stuff. That lead time is not just how long will it take me to write the copy for this website. That lead time is how long will it take me, assuming I'm going to have a day where I'm just in full anxiety mode, or I'm going to have a day where the spoons have all gone on a picnic without me. And I'm like, oh, I look in the spoon drawer. Ooh, okay then. So, but it's okay because I've allowed enough time. So it's
just that one plastic spoon.
Slightly broken.
But no, it's in the little plastic sleeve that you've got. It's one of those fold in half ones.
Yeah.
You've got to get through the day on that.
Oh, just on a crappy spoon that can't. Or a spork. Sporks are the most annoying. When I first got introduced, sorry, tangent, people listening. When I first got introduced to a spork, I know that I was expected to say, oh, wow, what genius created this little thing? But I just thought, what is this horror? It's not a good spoon, but it's a shit fork as well. So what is it? It's just literally doing both jobs badly. It's so annoying. It's so annoying.
It's a hell spoon.
Yeah, it's like, does it work for soup? No, it doesn't. Is it long enough as a fork? Nope. Can't stab things with it. Can't shovel things with it. It's just a nothing. And it's a hybrid. And if you were that spork, you'd be like, you would be, then you're a diverse, but you'd be in the corner, wouldn't you? Like,
nobody wants
why
you.
isn't anybody talking to me? Because you're rubbish at both your jobs that you've been given to do.
Newsflash, neurodiverse are sporks with a human equivalent
We're
of
literally. I can't believe I've said that. So, yeah.
No, I dragging the conversation back to the topic at hand. Other podcasts about sporks are available. I think the key for me, and I worked this out through a lot of trial and error, mostly error. And this is, I say this to people and I see this look in their eyes of like, well, that sounds really simple. It's like, put all the work you need to do in your diary. Get your to-do list and put it in the diary. Allocate actual time. And the reason that I say that, it's not just a time management issue. It is a time management issue, but it's not just a time management issue.
Yeah.
It allows me to look at my week ahead and go, oh, I've got to do that. Oh, I've got to do that. And I've got to do that. And those three things, that means in the evenings, I've got to do nothing. Or if I am going to do something, then that'll be a 10 a.m. start.
Yeah.
Because I've got the meeting in the afternoon. I can't do a full day and a meeting and a networking event. And this is one of the reasons why my Fridays are sacrosanct. Nothing gets booked on a Friday. I do have some networking obligations that come up that I need to go and host and various things. But that's only a half a day. So at absolute outside, there is something flashing red urgent that I need to do. I've got Friday afternoon at the last possible gasp of the week. But I've given myself a little bit of extra time. Even if I get to it and I've got nothing to do, I have got something to do because I'm planning for the week ahead. And so I get ahead. Yeah. And that going into a Monday and you start ahead of yourself, you know that if any road bumps come along, you're going to weather them. You're not going to reach. And this is, I think, the key for me. Too many Fridays. You get to the end of the week and you're thinking, oh, thank God it's the weekend. Yeah. But you just spend it recovering. And that's not rest. That's recovering. Yeah. And so my recovery is Friday afternoon, basically. Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, I set myself off. I've got to do a little run, come home. Saturday morning, do my own thing. Family gets on with their stuff. They've all got stuff they do. And then I can ease into the afternoon and go and do one of my hobby special interests. And even if that might be working in the garden or whatever, because it's one of my things I enjoy doing, it's like it's charging me up.
Yeah.
It's that I have a complete break from the business. Brain, body, mind, the whole thing, not thought about. And for me, that's the key to it. It's the energy management, not the business plan.
Yeah. 100% that. My daughter and I were talking the other day and saying she's in quite a bit of a burnout at the moment. And we were saying it's weird because when she's doing something she absolutely loves, something creative, one of her, like you said, one of her special interests, it does not affect the battery at all. Like she's writing a book and she can write 3 hours straight. It does not burn her battery at all. It does not touch the spoons. And yet she can go have a shower and that's like empty spoon drawer because she said she doesn't get it. We were trying to say, why is that? But I guess because when you love it, it's just flowing naturally. It's like you're downloading stuff rather than you've got to actively think, this stage. And yeah, so it's like your brain is like, yeah, I can do this with my eyes shut. It's cool. It doesn't require spoons.
Yes, the sensory overload element to it can really deplete you fast. It's like having your screen on full brightness with playing music and streaming something to the telly at the same time. Do you think about
juggling?
You just think about your phone. If it was doing that, the battery would last. We've all had days where we've got to the middle of the afternoon and we've gone, oh my god, I've only got 5%. I need to charge. And to a certain extent, that's the neurodiverse experience.
Yeah.
You can have all of the plans. You can have intricate, worked out to the day, this will be delivered, this will be done. And then you get there on a Monday and your brain just goes, nah.
It's on a deck chair somewhere. You're like, get back in my head. I need to do stuff.
Yeah, but it's not only just on a deck chair somewhere. It's got a bag of chips and it's being attacked by seagulls. And you're fending off the seagulls, trying to eat the chips, thinking, what am I doing? Why am I even on a deck chair? But I think the point to it is that if you plan your energy and you have a slightly more flexible approach to the delivery for the things that are unimportant, I've found that over the years that works for me better. And this comes back to whenever I'm doing business consulting with somebody, I ask them a very simple first question, and this is the one that most people get tripped up by. Why does your business exist? And most people answer that in terms of, well, we serve our customers and blah, blah, blah. No. That's what your business does. That's a product of your business, the service, the goods, the whole of it. But why are you doing this business? And if you understand your why as to why your business exists, you'll have a much happier time of it. Now, if your business exists to change the world for whatever reason, insert piece of technology, piece of whatever here, and I need to build that and create it, that is a completely different business to one that is, this business will give me an income for as long as I'm doing it, and until that time, and when I stop, I really won't have anything to sell because it will be basically me. And again, that's fantastic that you have that clarity. That's the clarity I have. I am under no illusions that I am. The moment I stop work, 99% of the projects I'm involved with go away, and that's great because one, I'll have earned enough to have created an independent income elsewhere, which recurs, a pension basically. And that was my game plan. That was my goal. I realised early on that I wasn't going to have one of those careers which left me with a pension at the end of it and, a handshake and a golden parachute and all the rest of it.
Dodgy watch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Mantelpiece clock. So I decided early on that it was a fairly frugal life. I mean, frugal. I live in the West and I have good health and a family that loves me. I won the jackpot. But the point is, we all have to think about the future, and I decided early on that, and have tried to buck this as well. I decided early on to have a frugal life, earn as much as I could and put as much of it away into savings while still enjoying my life. I mean, I have splurged at times. You got to live. I don't want to die the richest man in the cemetery. But I think the point is that when I have tried purposely to grow a business with employees and all the demands that creates, I genuinely nearly broke myself in a way which I wouldn't have recovered from. So I had to accept that that's not the style of business that works best for me, and I was doing it for reasons which were not internal. They were to show the rest of people that I can do it for myself.
Yeah.
And then
Capitalism.
I'm like, well, no, but it's like if you go to a doctor and the doctor's smoking and has got terrible health, it's not going to.
You're like,
So, you know, if you go to a business consultant and he points to his business and it's just him, it's like, in my head, that's like, how do I, you know, how do I square that? But it comes back to the whole, you do realise that Wimbledon winners get coached by people who have never won Wimbledon. And why is that? It's because their goal wasn't to win Wimbledon or injury or circumstance or, you know, they didn't have, I've heard this before, you know, the right frame. You know, somebody with a longer reach is going to be a better tennis player. They can get to more balls. So that's the point, is look at your business. Does your business fit your energy? Does it fit your mindset? Does it fit how effective you can be?
Yeah. Is it sustainable for you and your circumstances?
So moving it along, how does one plan then if you've got 47 different possibilities in front of you?
Well, yeah. So it's true, right, that our ND brains, well, certainly I talk for myself really here, but I'm sure we're all very similar. You know, I don't have one goal. Like you said, I have 47 sometimes that are often increasing and dropping out and all the time. And it isn't just that I have all this, I do have a pretty cool imagination, and I'm always going like, what about this? And what about this? And going off on the million tangents that everybody listening and watching can imagine from me. And the problem is I'm committed to all of those ideas. So although my brain can work out some of them are a lot more likely, feasible, possible than others, I still have a lot of ideas. So when it comes to a business plan for somebody that has multiple ideas, it's really quite difficult, because if you choose one, you can feel like you're kind of closing all the others off. So for me, it's about keeping that open mind. And we keep saying about sort of being flexible and keeping an open mind. But actually, that business plan is not nailing you to one idea. It's more like, you know, it could be a broader goal, like not like I will become the CEO of Google. It could be, I don't know why I said that. Actually, maybe they'll give us some funding. If you're listening, Google, we're your guys. Yeah. It doesn't need to be a really tight business plan, does it? It could just be a kind of, like for our Oddcast, well, we would like to get more listeners, or we would like to, you know, move into our own studio, which we have done now. Or, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's little incremental chunks. And keeping those, we talked about it, I think, previously, but keeping those ideas in a bucket somewhere, rather than kind of, we don't have to write off ideas just because they're not on the business plan at that time, at that point in time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've always approached my business planning with a fairly broad stroke, in that I know what my goal is. My goal outside of my business is, as I've said, is to grow a pot of money and assets which provide me not with an extravagant. Rather than work one extra hour just so that I could go on holiday, and we've discussed holidays, so you know how popular those are.
Never do it.
But you see, that's the point, is I'd rather not work a week just so that I don't have to go on holiday.
Just so you can cry for a week.
But, you know, cut your cloth accordingly. I'd like to retire in the next 10 years. Now, that puts me in my mid-60s, which is about right. But I'm hardly working the hardest I've ever worked right now, and doing things like, I've got the time to do a podcast, which makes zero income, but it's an investment in. Actually, I think there's a lot of mileage in what we're doing, and I think that other people need to hear it, that you can have success and have a life and a family and do all of those things, which, you know, they're hard at the best of times, but doing it whilst you're neurodiverse and self-employed can sometimes seem a little bit, you know, like
crazy.
No, I can't, yeah, well, but the way I think of it is having a job is a crazy thing. An expected demand every single working day for you to be there. Not all jobs, but you know, most of them. For an amount of money that, if you had a business, everyone would say to you, "Don't just have one customer." But most people, well, there's a lot of people these days have multiple jobs, but the better way of doing it is to have multiple streams of income, so that if one dries up, you're not completely cut off from an income stream. And I learnt that very early on. I was made redundant 3 times before the age of 23. Now, when I look back...
Take from that what you will.
When I look back, they were just letting go of the odd guy.
Why is nobody else being made redundant, Dave? Oh, I don't know, just like planning.
Yes, we didn't do a business plan, Stuart.
We did, and you weren't on it because you're a little bit weird. So,
how do you build a boredom-proof business system?
That's hard, isn't it? Because boredom, as we touched on at the beginning, is, for me, certainly a complete self-destruct button. If I'm bored, the dopamine packs its suitcases and leaves, and then I just get caught in that kind of what is even the point? What am I doing here? And I think, if I'm honest, the reason I've pivoted business over the years, and a lot of it's been really positive, to be fair, is because I've hit that boredom rut where it's almost like the room clears and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. I hate doing this. And because my brain is so dramatic, and often that is a really good thing, but not in this situation. It can't always go, well, it's boring at the moment, but actually if you did this, it could be more exciting. Often my brain is just like, no, it's boring. I hate it. Why did I ever think this was a good idea? Quite quickly, I can go into that kind of spiral if I'm not careful. So I think when it comes to a business system that works and keeps that kind of novelty factor, because that novelty triggers us to maintain that momentum. So yeah, I think interest for us is incredibly, well, that's obvious, isn't it? I guess for anybody running a business, you have to be interested in it. But I think for us in particular, sometimes we can be quite black and white in that thinking, and if we're a bit bored and stuck in a rut, it can feel like we're pressing the self-destruct button rather than kind of getting through that. I mean, how do you get through that when you get into those kind of boredom ruts, or if indeed you do?
Outsource.
Yes, give it to somebody else. Oh my gosh. Sometimes you say stuff, like most of the time you say stuff, and it's like a light bulb kind of flickers and comes on in my brain, and then there's a little voice that says, oh, that was really obvious. It was really obvious. And yet Stuart had to say it for my little brain to go, oh, like it was a Yoda moment. Yeah, if you're bored, Hannah, give it to somebody else to do. Oh, okay, yeah, that is massively obvious. So brilliant.
Running a business is just about solving a series of problems. Yeah. That's all it is, right? There's no special talent. There's no special magical training or whatever. It's just solving a bunch of problems, and at the heart of it, you're solving a problem for your customer, whatever that problem is, whether it's a service you provide or whether it's a product you give them. Whatever it is, you're solving some stated need in their head, in their life, that your business is set up to solve. So all you have to do is think of all of your problems as outsourceable, that somebody else can solve, that there is a solution out there that will make whatever you are doing go away. Now, the two things that you need to remember about this is, one, is it cost effective? And the big mistake that people make is thinking that their time is zero, doesn't cost them anything, which is rubbish, because you should write down every single minute you spend on projects for yourself and then total that up at the end of the year and go, oh, actually, my business should be paying me 3 times the amount it should. And hey, how do I know that? Because I've been there. So every single thing you do for your business should be costed, because it's going to cost you to pay for somebody to do it in your business.
Yeah.
Because you can't do everything. And I outsourced stuff. I realised I wasn't a very effective coder. It took me way too long to I was at best an amateur. You go to somebody who knows what they're doing, they bang it out in an hour. It's going to have taken me at least twice that, maybe even 4 times that. Yes, there's a cost, but I've factored that in, and the cost is a lot less to my customer. And then the second part to this is not just costing yourself and charging yourself to your business, but is then understanding how those hours, what they have taken in terms of effort to deliver them. Because it's not, you don't just wake up, sit in your chair, do your customer's work and go home. You have to do all of the admin around that, all of the project management around that, all of the communications, all of the dealing with any, and nobody exists in a vacuum, even if it's just do you sell that? Yes, I do. Here's the money, go away. For those things to happen, there have to be some systems in place. Okay, so you can be there for the exchange of value, but to get to that point, is it cost effective for you to do all the work to sell that one item that's taken you 10 hours and you sell it and you go, I've made 500 quid profit. No, you haven't. It's taken you 10 hours.
You've made a loss.
It's cost you 50 quid an hour to service that. And if your business, I know the break-even figure per hour in my business, 50 quid would be skirting on the edges of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's understanding those two things, I think, for me, fundamentally, is that your time isn't free, therefore your energy is connected to that. And are you fully costing yourself to your business when you are making a quote? And quite a lot of people, especially in the consulting area, the business services area, that they act like their time is free. And I've never understood that.
No, and if I'm honest, I am guilty of that, and I've
we all are.
definitely improved.
I'm going to say this sounds like, I have the perfect setup. I still do stuff which, yes, I could charge for or should charge for or even outsource, but at the scale I am at the moment, it's just ticking along. This year's been a tough one for many reasons, energy-wise and what have you. But next year, I've got a plan.
Yeah,
I'm stuck on a few projects, and it's like, Stu, why don't you just pay someone to get you to jump over the puddle, to get past the problem?
Do you think though? So I'm building a website at the moment, and as I say that, I remember that I said to myself, like 6 months ago, Hannah was like, I'm never building a website again. After quite a brutal, I love doing it, but it's not what I do fundamentally. It's not my service. But I'm helping this particular client who they're awesome. I'm helping them with another thing, and it got to a point where I realised they needed to refresh their website. And actually I'm doing it because I really enjoy it. So my brain was like, oh, you love this. But yeah, is it going to take me way longer than it would take somebody that does it regularly on this particular platform? Yeah, it will. But actually my brain has now accepted it as a fabulous thing that it needs to do. And so at this point, it's not cost effective really for me to do it for my time. I'm charging them what the going rate would be, but it's going to take me longer. So I'm actually going to be, well, yeah, you can do the maths on that. So,
yes, because your enjoyment of it is kind of part of the payment, that dopamine.
Yeah. And I was doing it the other evening because I got really into it and I was loving it. It felt like a hobby. And then I thought, oh, this is paid work though, Hannah. You need to, for me, it's that kind of, in that situation, it's the blurring. I've blurred the boundaries for myself there, that I've decided that this thing that should be or is a paid project, paid piece of work, actually has become a hobby. I have to be aware of that. I can do that quite a lot.
I know exactly this. When I'm doing layouts or design, pure design work, you put the music on, you sit back, you let your brain,
Yeah.
dilate, and then you dip your head in, and away you go. And it's just pure dopamine.
Yeah.
So you want to spend a lot of time there. And I see this problem a lot with trades. I've worked with trades over the years. They're an interesting bunch, but they all suffer from pretty much the same problem, and that's on the tools. They don't want to put the tools down because the thing that they love doing is the reason they pick the tools up in the first place. It's a little bit like the designer. The designer designs, and to a certain extent, if there's no one to pay the designer will still be a designer.
Yeah. Just be doing their own. Yeah.
Exactly. So little harder to do that when you're a trade. Do you want a wall built? I'm just going to build one in my own garden.
Just randomly building, yeah.
But the point to it is that I've often, you get to a point where you say to the person, you do realise that you're going to have to spend more time doing the administration and the finding of the work and the customer service, and that's not the bit they love.
Yeah.
And that's really difficult for somebody to then put the tools down and step away from it, and then get to a point in their life where it takes a toll on the body. It's physical work, bending down, stretching, and doing all the lifting and humping stuff. I've done a lot of DIY in my time, and I tell you, the ability to walk away from it at the end, it seems like fun going in, but at the end of it, it's just like
crawl back out.
Just speaking in noises. So that brings us nicely to the burnout.
Yeah, because most business plans assume endless energy and stamina, don't they?
Well, I think it's more a case of a consistent and reliable source of energy. It doesn't matter what's going on in your personal life. Your business, whether you've got a job or you've got a business to run, I get up and I go and do, and yes, I'm tired and what have you. How do you... So when you're diagnosed, you don't have to be diagnosed to have accommodations at work. This is the thing that people don't realise. Oh, there's too many people with labels and getting stuff. You do realise you can ask for it without being diagnosed. So just top
just
tip.
Put your hand up.
And you don't have to give any reason. You can ask for a reasonable accommodation, like I wish to wear noise cancelling headphones. You do not have to then self-report. Oh, because I'm neurodiverse. I just find I'm better able to focus with them on. And if there's no reason, practically, safety-wise, then your employer cannot withhold it just because you don't have on record a diagnosis, because you don't. But a lot of the business advice, a lot of the people that pedal makes it sound quite cutthroat, but hey, they're out there peddling their information, especially those cycle guys. So creating a business around, well, I always think of it as 10 months a year. I always build my business around a 10-month income stream, and that gives me 2 months. And you're going to say, well, Stuart, it's just dividing what you earn by 10 instead of 12. But the crucial part to that is, yes, it is, but it also allows you 2 months. One, if you had a proper job, you'd have 4 weeks paid holiday anyway. And then on top of that, you're going to get ill. You will. Once your energy drops and you're not feeling great, that's what happens to me end of every year, just going through it. We postponed this recording session because I hit flu season. But that's the point, I think, is to create a business that is burnout proof. You have to build those fire breaks in. I've spoken about this briefly before. How have you in the past approached the burnout?
Well, before meeting you, Stuart, I approached the burnout by driving through it very quickly with my car on fire.
Into a lake.
I just didn't, I'll be honest, I just had 2 speeds, stop or 1,000 miles per hour. And invariably 1,000 miles per hour ended in stop for quite a while. So I didn't have I didn't have any processes in place, and I'm still in my infancy of putting them in place. And, you know, I've said this before, but you introduced me to things that I was like, oh, yeah. You know, I think neurotypical people, of course, they get burnout and all sorts of similar things. But I think for us, our energy supplies are not refilling themselves back up as quickly. Do you know what I mean? We really, it is something that we actively need to ring fence and take care of. And for me, if I hit a burnout, and I did a while ago, I had a whole week where I felt like I had flu, but I didn't have flu, I was in burnout. And for the first time in 51 years, I recognised it as what it was. And I just binge watched Netflix, ate a lot of biscuits probably for a good week. And luckily I had created enough time around my projects to be able to do that. And I just kind of visualised it as, oh, I'm having a week off.
There's something panic-inducing when you wake up and your brain just refuses to do what you know it can do. I mean, when my parents died and I was going through all of that, the thing that changed it for me was I just thought to myself, you don't have to win awards, you don't have to smash doors down, you just have to keep the lights on. So as long as you are able to go through the processes, and this is how one of my businesses actually ended up getting set up to be on autopilot, literally on autopilot. I can throw as many customers into it as I want. Once they are onboarded, literally an email, that's it. If I didn't speak to them ever again, it wouldn't be a problem because my income stream isn't affected by the amount of times I talk to them or have a conversation. And a lot of people out there go, no, it's not up to your customers to remember to do business with you. Well, it is if they want their website to appear on the internet. And that, I think, for me was, you've mentioned it there, that slowly building, slowly adopting things that work, trying things. There's a saying is slow to hire, quick to fire. And it should be the same with your business. It should be slow to adopt a process or test out a process, but quick to get rid of it if it's not working for you, and be ruthless with it as well, and not worried about upsetting people. Unfortunately, you try things out, they don't work for you. You've got to be able to say, that's not working for me, that situation, that task, that job, that contract, that service, that person, and be able to quickly, and it's really difficult. I get that to say to somebody, oh, you've got to leave my business. It didn't work out. These are real people and real people's lives. But put your own oxygen mask on first. You're building a business which allows you to have no energy.
Yeah, and that's not... I mean, that makes total sense to me. I think one thing that I come up against with that is a lot of us are people pleasers. And I'm so much better now, but, you know, again, 51 years later, I'm learning that the concept that, I've got to put my oxygen mask on first. I'm fully immersed in that idea now and fully accepting of it. But that's taken a long time. And I've worked on projects or had clients over the years where I've limped along with them, just really wanting to get rid of them, and almost kind of thinking like, I'll just have to die to stop working. But, you know, that is the end of this relationship, will be my death. Not quite that dramatic, but you know what I mean? That inability, that awkwardness, that kind of, but what if they don't like me, really sometimes sabotages that common sense of knowing, is this working for me? Because it's my business. If it's not working for me, it's not serving me, I need to get rid of it.
So that brings us neatly to business models that might flex or be more appropriate.
Yeah, I think
what are your thoughts around that?
Well, I think we've learned, haven't we, through this conversation and through our own experiences so far as business owners, that a rigid business model does not work for us, or it certainly doesn't work for a lot of us with neurodiverse brains. And if we set a rigid, societally acceptable business model, we're setting ourselves up to fail, and it will break us. It will break us. Sorry, that sounds like a really brutal.
It will break
You're
us.
going to be broken. I don't mean that, but I mean we need a shape-shifting structure that evolves as we evolve, and it incorporates our energy levels, and it respects the way that we work, and it serves us.
I think it's clear from what we've been discussing that the fluctuating energy levels, especially as you age, especially also the amount and type of work that you're doing might change. And again, your energy levels, you're leaning into that, your ability to cope, they can change really radically and massively change because of life events, just aging, personal events, relationship events, all of that doesn't happen in a vacuum. And for neurodiverse people, for me, a disruption in my routine can throw my entire working week. Like Gemma not being there, just the fact that I have to go up an extra half hour early to make my lunch. Now, this is going to sound incredibly... Gemma makes my lunch for me every day, and she makes it at 12 o'clock because she knows that if I haven't eaten by 1-ish, there is dysregulation, probably inbound. And whilst I try not to inflict it on people, Stuart, who is hungry, doesn't make good decisions, both in terms of interpersonal relationship, communications, says horrible things, gets a bit blunt.
Gets a bit hangry.
Gemma just laughs at me now, which is fine. It's great. I quite often say the problem is not external, it's internal. And she also knows that then has a knock-on effect in the afternoon, and I'll make bad decisions around about 4 o'clock and start stuffing myself with sweets.
Is that a wrong thing to do, Stu? Because that is my life, literally.
Life goals, tick.
12 cans of Diet Coke. Yeah.
But I think that rather than fight it, you have to accept the reality that you face. And if your energy levels are fluctuating or will, I guarantee you, will fluctuate, what are you going to do to plan? And that's, I think, for me, the nub of it is the planning around having a plan that is adaptable in the case of zero energies.
Yeah. Look at the worst case kind of. Yeah.
What happens if you get ill? And it's not just the getting ill bit, it's then that it wipes out your energy for 4 weeks. Yeah. So you're all functional, you're all right, but because that energy has gone, what are you going to do for 3 weeks when the customer is drumming their fingers on the table and that's getting louder and louder and louder? So I think the key thing to this is flexibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other takeaways you think that we should impart?
Little bits of genius.
Nuggets?
Well, I think we've I like the idea of adopting the kind of season, not lifetime approach to your planning mindset, looking at where you are now. And we've said this before, but breaking it into little chunks that are manageable, because also it's much easier to pivot if you're just dealing in small blocks of time.
Oh, the pivot, I cannot
love a pivot.
Underline that if your business is draining you, guess who gets to decide what it does next? It's you.
It's so good. It's so good, but sometimes so scary as well. But like we were saying, just make sure that your business, whatever that looks like, is burnout resistant. You know your energy, you need to guard that energy, and you need to allow time for the bad days, for the days where you're not fully functioning, but and balance that out with the really productive. I hate the word productive. You know what I mean? The days where you can get shit done, without it crushing you completely.
Yeah, build your plan around the worst version of you.
Yeah.
Because if the best version of you turns up, then bonus.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can still do it. I mean, that's why what I liked about, we were talking about people, both of us getting really into a project, and it's like using that creativity as a strategy. When you're enjoying something, it's much easier to get caught up in it and keep that momentum on that project or that piece of work. But actually, if you're just doing, we've learned during this podcast and before, boredom crushes us. We need that momentum, whether it's the creative element, if you're particularly creative, or it's just something you're really enjoying doing, or you can see the goal at the end of it. It's a nice big project where you're going to get paid a nice big amount of money, or whatever it is that keeps that momentum going.
Well, it's also the death or Caesar mindset,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it? It's like, this isn't working, let's rip it up and go and do something. You know, I'm a lawyer and it's not working for me doing this, you know, fractional lawyering bit. I'm going to go and farm pigs, you know. And it just might be that the format that you're putting out into the world isn't the way that the customer actually wants to consume it. And it's not just that your offering per se is wrong, it's just the way you're positioning it, the way you're talking about it. And guess what? There are people out there who love to do that kind of stuff. So go and have a word with someone like that and say, this is why it's not working for me. And then build. And I, many times over the years, I've looked at my business and gone, nah, nope, ripping it up, starting again.
Set fire to it.
Just literally walked in and, you know, had to let people go because, and this isn't a whim kind of thing. This is this is not working for me. And if I continue to do this, I will break something fundamental, because guess what? I've done it before. And there are parts of me that are still not right from those times, which is why I am much more protective now, because it's all very well and good somebody saying, I want you to do this and I need it but done by then. Well, how cool your jets there. Let's ask some fundamental questions, because you're making some assumptions here, and most of them are around my ability to do it in that time frame.
I get to choose that, by the way, client. Thank you very much.
So yes, so I think that you don't have to be bored, but if you are finding yourself bored, your mind wandering, it feeling like there's a sack of rocks on your back, and that this plough through this one more day with another fake smile on, and any customer that says anything will get a pen stabbed in their head. You know, yes, if that's where you're at, let us know. We are genuinely interested to help any businesses that are feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know where I'm going. Both Hannah and I have got years of experience with business, but we've also got years of experience of figuring this sort of stuff out.
And messing it up along the way. We did it so you don't have to.
Also, I think a little tip, if you're, and this can be, again, the whole death or Caesar mindset, you know, I either conquer the world or bury me in a pit. Put some timescales around your planning. So I'm going to spend an hour today looking at my planning document, updating it, making sure it's on target, and I'm more or less pointing in the right direction, doing the jobs, or working with the customers, or why am I not working with the customers? You know, how do I move from working with these type of customers to those type of customers? What's needed? And taking it in small bite-sized chunks, because the tendency to pick it up and think, I will smash this. By the end of today, I will have a business plan that will cast all asunder, and I will, you know, rival Elon Musk by this time next year. Spoiler alert, you won't. And who wants to be that guy?
No one. Sorry, Elon, if you're, you know, you can still sponsor us if you like. Actually, no, we don't want your money. Oh my God, why have I gone off on an Elon Musk tangent? My brain.
So I think there's anything that is set in stone or written and put in a document is much more likely to get done. But it doesn't mean to say that if you were the author of that document, you can't change it at some point in the future. And the amount of times over the years that my energy levels have fluctuated and I've had to dip out, change, alter. I've made so many excuses to other people when actually clearly I should be saying, this isn't working for me, goodbye.
Yeah.
But you cling
It's
on, you
hard.
hold on, and you think that they'll change.
They'll stop being an idiot. I think the other thing is, this is a huge generalization, sorry, but in my experience so far, a lot of neurodiverse people are not quitters.
No.
And I can admit this with myself. I can be quite naive. Like, it's rubbish at the moment, but they'll become less of an idiot soon when they see how amazing their website is, or when they see this. But actually, I've stuck with, a long time ago, if any of my current clients are listening, I've stuck with, in the past, clients that were really not a good fit for me, and vice versa, or the work was burning me in a really bad way. And yet I've kind of that almost childlike optimism of like, it'll get better. It doesn't, newsflash, it doesn't. So, unless you need to be self-aware enough to realise, actually, I'm not saying quit something at the first hurdle, because we often, working relationships do have those hurdles, and you can more often than not get through them. But it's about stop flogging those dead horses, because they are the ones that they'll dull all the joy in the rest of your work, even the stuff you did enjoy. A client that's a really bad fit, or a piece of work that's really draining you and you're not enjoying it and can't keep up the momentum, is enough to make you kind of question everything if you're not careful.
Oh, the Pareto principle of the 80-20 rule, as most people know it. 80% of your time will be spent on 20% of your clients.
Yeah.
And if you have got bad client fit, that means you're spending a lot of time on clients whom you are resenting the work. You're getting to a point where, and this happens in all walks of life. If the customer doesn't value you and they're just paying you, it doesn't matter how much they're paying you, it grinds, and it makes you feel like you have no value. If your ideas are just going in and they're going thanks and then ignoring them. And I have sacked well-paying customers before for lack of job satisfaction, effectively. Look, this isn't a good fit. I don't feel like we're gelling.
It's no good for either of you at that point.
Exactly. So there's a lot we've unpacked there, a lot of experience that we've shared with you. So share your experiences back with us. Tell us, are there any tips we've missed, any hints that you have found over the years work for you and might work for other people? This isn't a prescription. This is not you have to do. It's just some suggestions, some ideas and some thoughts that have worked for us over the years. So anything we've missed, let us know. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We'd love to hear from you. Go to the Business Oddcast. No, sorry. I always say the Business Oddcast. I took the off of it because it's not the Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
So it's Business Oddcast.
I like it.
businessoddcast.com. Go there, sign up to the mailing list. You can get all of our past episodes there. And we're also on YouTube if you need to see the glory.
You do need to see the glory. It is so glorious.
Just about. Look,
we're not just voices, are we?
We're waving.
Not just voices.
Look, we're leaning in and waving.
We wear nice clothes and stuff. Oh, I keep knocking my mic. Sorry about that.
So yes, a fantastic roundup and whistle stop tour through some ideas there. Hannah, what have we got next week for our listener?
Oh, well, next week is equally awesome. We've touched on this a bit this week, but we are looking at the anti-boredom blueprint. So we're talking about how you can stay motivated. What even is that, Hannah? Can you see how motivated I am right now?
I am very motivated, yes.
Hannah can't talk right now, so that, oh my gosh. I feel like I need to go and be put in a box and plugged into something. Sorry. Staying motivated with a neurospicy brain.
So we'll be looking at all things to do with motivation and direction of travel, and how to generally keep your brain corralled and interested when you've got a brain that's squirrel. So we are going to keep you tip-top appraised over how to stay on track, on focus and on mission with an anti-boredom blueprint. Anti-boredom?
No, we're not anti-boredom. We love it.
Anti-burnout blueprint. Oh, God. Anti-boredom blueprint. Try saying that 3 times fast. So whatever it's called, come back next week and see us on the Business Oddcast. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye. Step away from PAYE. Don't do it.